Hey, hello. This past week I attended a funeral, and there's a lot of things that suck in life, and I don't know the answers, but this funeral of a young man, 43 years old, who committed suicide. He took his own life, and his wife had all these this young man's friends give the eulogy and to share stories, and by all accounts this young man had like everything. He was like the consummate friend to all these guys. He didn't take life seriously. He made fun and light of things. He just kind of lived out loud, if you will. He was always there for them, and yet he always suffered from depression. And the last speaker got up and actually addressed depression where none of the other speakers talked about it. And I have thought a lot about this situation to where I don't have the answers, and I think people keep asking the wrong question. It's good to ask questions, because I think perhaps when I've gotten lonely or depressed, I think perhaps we've all felt those emotions. I think sometimes people quit asking the right question. It isn't so much why am I lonely or why am I depressed or why did this young man commit suicide when he had everything's going for him. He was a plumbing contractor. He's got 4 lovely kids, faithful in his testimony of Christ, and yet he still took his own life. I don't know what was going through his mind. I don't know if when he did the final act, what if he had tried to stop it. I don't know any of those questions. I don't think it's up to me to know the answers to that. However, what I do know is the right questions to ask is about how to live. Not why somebody died, or why somebody was lonely, or why somebody was depressed, or why somebody's life sucked, or why me, why me, why me. How about asking the questions about how do I live? How do I love? How do I leave a legacy? How do I learn? How do I do all those things that make my life rich? That's the right questions to ask, because it's in those answers that we find this thing called joy, compassion, life. This young man, according to accounts said at the funeral, the last month or so of his life, he went on a downhill spiral where his friends got with him, and they knew that he had already checked out. He had like died inside. And yet I know that they're probably kicking themselves. After he had took his life, they probably said, oh my gosh, I saw what he was doing and I didn't know how to do nothing. And they can't take that upon them. They probably, through their friendship of him, prolonged his life. You see, they are living life. We don't know why somebody wants to take their life. It's not up for me to judge. All I know is that if I unconditionally love other people and do all that I can to support them, compassionately love them, then maybe there's a fighting chance that somebody wants to also live life. And that's why it's important for us to ask questions about how do I live? Because when other people see us and they're looking at us. How many of you follow a poor, depressed person that's got anger, angst in their life, not getting anywhere? See, we don't follow those kind of people. We follow people who kind of live out loud, who are big, who, in other words, they live a big life, who seem to have joy and peace. And I can flat tell you that those are the right people to follow, and yet we can't put anybody on a pedestal, because everybody suffers. Everybody. I have my own suffering, you have your own suffering. And it's through the suffering, if we turn to the suffering and embrace it, accept it, understand what's happening, that it's a part of this life, it's on the other side of suffering that we find joy and peace. It's when we try to numb our suffering, when we try to have pleasure in our life, these temporary bits of, oh my gosh, it's the cause of many addictions. I work with a lot of people who, and it's kind of my passion right now, is food addiction, to where they're numbing. It's like a drug addict. He's numbing. He's numbing some pain that this person has. And when you numb your pain through any kind of activity that's you seek pleasure instead of peace and joy, you're going to numb joy. The only way to find joy and peace is to accept our suffering, accept as a human being that I'm okay. I have this unconditional self-love. I accept myself exactly who I am. I accept myself for all of my imperfections. I accept myself for the emotions that I have. I accept myself for the lack of skills that I need. I accept myself. If somebody wants to throw the fiery darts of criticism at me, let them go ahead and do it. I got this shield that's blocking them all off, and that shield is self-love and acceptance. Am I perfect? No. Do I suffer? Absolutely. Do I embrace my suffering? Yes, I do. I embrace my suffering. It's through that, through moving forward in life, through having the difficult conversations, through talking about stuff. If you feel ashamed in any way, if you feel like you're not enough, get it out. Talk to people in your families. I'm amazed at people who get stuck in life, and talking to them, what I've discovered is they all have this, I'm not enough. I don't have enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not good looking enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough skills, on and on and on. How about saying I am enough? How about saying, instead of the difference between guilt and shame, guilt is, I made a mistake. See, when you can say that, you're accepting yourself. I made a mistake. Shame suggests, I am a mistake. I don't know if this young man felt that way. I know his parents really well. I went to the funeral to support them mainly, but I knew a lot. I mean, this man grew up in my congregation. And I don't know if he felt like he wasn't enough, but perhaps if he did. And there again, I don't know. I'm not going to conjecture on that. But when you have self-unconditional love, you can conquer anything. You can conquer your suffering because you'll seek other people. And that's the greatest need we all have, is love and acceptance. And so many people are acting out, pretending in life, oh, I gotta be the macho, I gotta have a big house, big car, I gotta wear the fancy clothes, I gotta have my hair just perfect, I gotta, look cool and all that sort of stuff. That's just BS. You're acting out. That's what's called codependency. That's just lack of self-love, where when you have it, you can say, I messed up, I made a mistake. Versus I am a mistake. You see, when you say I am a mistake, that's the one people seeking pleasure, acting out, and addictive behavior that's unhealthy, and they suppress their joy. Because the opposite of this acting out is connection. When you have that, you don't connect. When you have self-love, you connect. You want to connect. You feel worthy of connection to anybody. Anyway, these are lots of things on my heart today. I hope for you, if you suffer from any form of suffering, especially the emotional kind, I suppose that's mainly the worst kind of suffering. I mean, physical suffering is bad, but when you emotionally suffer from, I'm not enough, I don't feel good about myself, I don't, I want more but I can't have it. When you suffer from that kind of suffering, when you get lonely, depressed, this is where you disconnect from people because you don't feel worthy of that connection. Yet I'm telling you, you are absolutely worthy of all connection because you're a human being. You're not a human doing. You're a human being. Just by virtue of you being on this earth, you qualify for unconditional love and acceptance. Are you going to find it in all people? No, because a lot of people suffer from this I'm not enough, this suffering inside. And so they're not going to connect to you unless you're like their perfect little being. Screw those kind of people. They have problems. There's enough people in the world that will connect with you. You just got to find them. They're there. Love all of you. Take care. Bye.